All right, Karen, why don't you go ahead and get started?
Okay, a couple more in the waiting room.
Yeah, I think it's going to be that way. Look, we can go ahead and get started though,
There
and
we go.
they'll get in.
Welcome, everyone. The session this morning is called AI Tools to Deliver Quality Instruction and Significant Learning. And I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Karen LaPlant. I'm from Metropolitan State University in Minnesota, not Denver. Um, and I've been a instructional design. I've been IT faculty. I've been a lot of things over the years. And really enjoy now AI and cybersecurity and going around doing sessions like this for people. And now I'd like to introduce and turn it over to my co-presenter, Zala Fashant.
Good morning. I've got to think about what's it's evening. I'm in Athens, Greece. It's evening, and so I have to juxtaposition my brain here. So, good morning, everyone, and welcome. We're looking forward to this session so that we'll do some presenting and we'll give you a chance to do some sharing as well. And so, at any rate, let's go ahead and get started here. We're going to look at this tool called teleprompting. And what we're looking at here is Teleprompter. And I just want to kind of give you an idea. There's several different teleprompter brands out there right now. I'm going to be using teleprompter.com so that you can get an idea of where we're at. You can try a lot of them out. They all have sort of free basic services to them and everything that way. But what's really nice about this, we're using this with some of the business folks that we're working with here in creating videos and social media posts and things that way. And I also know that this is great for faculty to be able to deliver messages to students, to deliver content to students. I'm calling it connective communication because really what happens is you're able to spend a lot more time with this tool to be able to look at your audience with the camera and not so much time worrying about reading off from a screen. So at any rate, just want to get you inside this app once you download it. There's several different ways you can do this. You can do a free trial. You can also go ahead and take a look at, there's a pro plan, there's a max plan, and if you scroll down all the way, then you can dismiss those options and do a free plan. And the free plan works pretty great, except for one thing that I'll explain a little bit toward that at the end when we get done with that. So you can go into this, and there's a variety of settings that you can play with. And what I enjoy most about this is that it really sets up your page. You can see right here a little welcome message that was put into here. There's a margins page, which is nice because you can adjust the margins. You can indent more so that it fits closer into your screen if you'd like. And on your phone, you don't have as much that you have to do that because it's only so wide on your phone. But this is looking at the laptop version. It also gets you an idea that you can apply those margins then to your screen so that it gives you the width that you want to use. And even later on, after you've typed in your message, you got everything you want, there are more times to be able to play with that and do things with settings. So the nice next option here is a line spacing. So it really kind of determines how close your lines are together, or if you really like them spread apart better for readability factors, you're able to do that. So it allows you to play with that. You can move this bar here and this thing on here. It gives you a chance to create a wider spreading. Now, if you look at the screen up above, you'll notice that I just changed between sort of a standard font type of thing to an uppercase. And if you like the uppercase better, you get another opportunity to go ahead and click on that to make this all an uppercase type of thing. And then the next one, you'll notice in that little blue part of the screen up on top, I put in this indicator bar. And what's nice about the indicator bar is you move that toward the top. Now I'm using my webcam and my computer tonight. If I had another camera above that or whatever you tend to use, wherever you put that, you kind of want to keep that high so that you keep the distance between your cue indicator bar and your camera very close to one another so that it really looks like you're looking at the camera, not reading the screen. So that becomes an important feature to have on there, which is nice. Then as your screen scrolls, you'll just read the part that's above that teleprompter or that cue indicator bar. So you also have a couple of other options in the design as you go through here that you can set this up. I'm using my background right now. I've got the black background. As you notice, I put the text color in white. I can also put sort of stage directions in here if I want to. If I remember to smile or to wink, or I want to do something special or point or whatever it is, I can put those in as well, and they'll be a different color, so I'll make sure I'm not reading them. You can also see that here I chose the cream color at the bottom, and you'll get an idea to kind of see what this looks like. So again, it gives you some preferences, what you prefer. All this is for you. You're not going to see it on the screen, or the people when you record are not going to see the colors or anything. So it's not like it's a PowerPoint background. There's some advanced settings here. At the very top, you can actually set up a clock countdown. So when you click record, it'll go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, or you can set it for 2 seconds or however long you want to, that way to give you a chance to really kind of prepare and make sure that you're looking at the camera ready to go and you don't wonder whether it's recording or it's not recording. And so these are easy that as you go through and you kind of look at this, you can play with this very nicely once it's on once you've got your text and everything put in. You can go back and just go back to the settings and play along with those. Now, where it actually gets into the main part of this is your script. What do you want to be able to put in? So it's easy to add script. All you have to do is go to the script plus button. You hit plus. It'll give you a blank screen. You can go ahead and type in your script. You can copy and paste text from something that you want to be able to read to your students or share with with anybody else that you're creating this video for. Or you can also import a document. So if you've got something that's all ready to go and you just want to simply read it to students or you want to share it with students, then you can go ahead and do that. So scripts can be as long or short as you want them to be, and you have options to stop and continue the scrolling during longer scripts if you'd like. So if there's a point that you want to just pause the button from the scrolling, you can do that. It makes it rather nice. Plus you can also speed up and slow down your recordings. You can also create folders. So if you want to be able to create this, obviously I wanted this just for the ELCC conference. So I created a folder, simply hit plus, and you can drag and drop any of the documents or the scripts you have into the folders box. So it's really easy to use. This is what it looks like when you're getting ready to go. This is your page that you're going to record from. And you can see I'm on my laptop. So it's got kind of a wide feature to it. Let me just show you a few of the different things here. Up at the top, you'll see in the upper right-hand corner, there's a record button. So you can either go live, if you want to go live on Facebook or live on a social media platform that it offers you, you can do that. Or you can get into the recording side here. And so it makes it kind of nice to be able to do that. Recording, again, will just send you to a little different screen as you get ready to do that. Down here at the bottom, it's a walking or a running kind of thing. So this really works on your speed. And so one of the things that you're going to want to decide to do is, practice it a couple of times with different speeds so that you're not, tearing through your speech as fast as you have to, but you can read it with inflection or do something more with that. In the middle circle here, I have a pause or a play button. So that will allow me to actually hit play and it will start recording. Now, if you notice again, here's my cue indicator bar. So I'm going to read everything that would be just above this. Now these are directions for the PowerPoint, but once I have this in here, I just put in the description of this session. Over here, there's some additional settings in the lower right-hand corner that lets you adjust the speech. And if you want to edit the speech, you want to change the font, you want to do something with it differently, these buttons down here will let you do that when you're right in here, and then there'll be a save button for you to be able to save it. So let me just show you very quickly here. Here's an opportunity for us to see. Now, here's what I've done. I've put in my speech. I'm ready to go, so I hit record, and let me show you just kind of how this is going to work. This is what you see, and you can see I've got my clock countdown. I'm going to record, and now it scrolls. So I just read everything that's above that bar, and I've set this up so that I can read it in a sort of fairly normal voice, and it won't go too fast for me. It's pretty wide. And so as you can see, I've sped it up just a little bit here for you to see what's going on. Here's one little tip I'm going to give you. I put a stop bar down here, direction down here, because I noticed that not all the text always goes up above the cue indicator bar. So I put stop down here, so I made sure that the text I'm going to read all got over the cue indicator bar. I hope that makes sense to you. You can see here a little bit of what it's going to, oh, that's just a repeat. Let me show you what you see once you've made the recording. I apologize for this. I've had shingles. I'm not my best. I'm not my most theatrical best at this, but this will give you a little bit of a chance to kind of see what's going on. AI tools to deliver quality instruction and significant learning. This presentation will introduce the AI tool Teleprompter for making quality video presentations on phones or laptops. Participants will learn how easy Teleprompter is to use to improve the quality of connective communication for coursework. During the session, participants will be asked to share their other AI tools they find useful. This sharing will provide a showcase of a variety of effective AI tools that will improve quality instruction and significant learning experiences for students. So there you have a little bit of an opportunity to kind of see what it's going to look like. My tip here, this is the hint for laptops, make sure you set your margins in tight, much like the size of what your phone would be. The reason is it helps you not read so much left to right. You keep all your text mainly in the center of the screen, which helps. So it doesn't look like I'm reading as much as what it could look like. I did a sample of this when I just left it wide. And you could tell I was definitely reading because you could see my eyes moving from left to right because it's quite a distance. I would shrink that up quite a bit to make it more the size of your phone. When you're using your phone on this, it's kept to that narrow margin anyway, and you don't have very much of an opportunity to really look like you're reading. You really get to look like you're more staring at the screen that way and talking to your people. Now, here's a problem, closed captioning. The free version of this doesn't allow you to do closed captioning, and as we know, we need closed captioning. So what's very important is I've got 3 suggestions for you to use for that. One is you can upgrade to the Pro version, which will let you have that, and that's $20 a month, or $90 for a year. You could decide if that's worth it for you to be able to do that. Another way to do it is by using a couple of free closed captioning apps. One is called Capwing, which I've used when I did a presentation here 2 years ago. I showed you some of the things that you can do in Capwing, where it automatically puts in the closed captioning for you. You can also use another program called CapCut, and you can get video, audio, and you can get the closed captioning with a free version of it. Another suggestion is put your script on your phone and do a Zoom recording of it. So you can use your Zoom on your laptop. You can have, if you get a little phone stand, you can have that right above your camera. And then you get the opportunity to read that and record it in Zoom. And as you know, in Zoom, you have the captioning going that way. So there's at least 3 different suggestions, and most of those will not take you very long to do. So if you like the version and you don't want to pay the $20 a month or the $90 a year to get the closed captioning is pretty nice. It does a nice job of it. 2 things it does. One, it allows you to go ahead and put the closed captioning anywhere you want, top, middle, or bottom of your screen. You also can have the chance to have it highlight the word that you're actually saying at the time, if you like that style. The other side of it is it gives you even some fun, freaky kind of closed captioning ways to do it. So it gives you a chance to play around with it some more. But again, that's your decision to make. It's the kind of the only downside to this whole thing that kind of bums me out is that it doesn't just, in this day and age, doesn't automatically do closed captioning. So what's nice about this to me is that you get better eye contact. You don't look like you're reading. You can also record or go live and have those as options. You kind of deliver with confidence in your most communicative or connective communications that you want to share with students. You can have the students use this for their presentations. We talked about it this morning in the morning show that there are ways that you could actually have students get a chance to do this when they have to do one-way interviews or anything else like that, or if they're going to present to the class and upload it into the course content. Kind of a fun way for them to get to have that and not feel quite so nervous. It gives you a little bit of a professional look to the content and delivery because it doesn't look like you're reading it. It's a pretty easy to learn curve as you're going through. As what's really nice about it is that all of those adjustments, you can do it. You really can't make a mistake. You don't erase things. You don't lose things. So it just fixes it for you by readjusting the settings that way. And it's also pretty fun to use. It's pretty easy to use. I know that through clients that I'm working with in business and through educators that I've shown this to, it's kind of fun to use. They really have a good time. It makes it very easy for them to do that. And I don't know, it just makes it really kind of easy. So that's the teleprompter advantages that we have. What we want to do right now is open this up and we're going to give you a chance to kind of share some of the things. So either in chat or via your live mic, I'd like you to go ahead and feel free to share any sort of AI tools that you're finding very helpful for you. One of the goals for the conference this year was to have more discussion, more chances for people to engage and interact. So I shared you with this one. Karen's going to kind of take over and watch the chat. If you want to do live mic, just wave. Like I said, have your camera on, wave, and we'll just go ahead and call on you and have a chance to be able to do that. All right, so go ahead and feel free to share.
So is anybody using any tool to help them with this? Articulate, okay. Yep, we use that a lot. Been using Notebook LM a lot. Interesting.
If you
What
can
are you
also,
doing with Notebook LM?
exactly, if you're going to share in chat, which is fantastic, feel free to give us just a little description with what it is you're doing and how you're using the app to give us more ideas.
Turning text into infographics and podcasts. Oh, okay. Interesting. So it gives us all new ideas.
No, Stephanie, that's great. That's why it's fantastic to have chat because you can be someplace where it's loud and you can still pay attention and we don't hear the noise. So
And someone else is using Notebook LM
Hi,
for brainstorming. Excellent.
I can chime in like with audio, but I use Notebook
yes,
LM and I use it to take like reading documents. I help instructors develop their online courses, and so sometimes I'll take their reading files and I'll them to Notebook LM and ask the Notebook LM to provide summaries, like brief summaries of the articles to include next to the reading so that students kind of have some key points to keep in mind rather
right.
than the instructor having to come up with those. I usually just kind of help and say, hey, here are some key points from that article. Can you just make sure that all of this sounds good or edit it as needed? And I think it helps give some great context. You can upload up to 50 articles to one of the
Wow.
notebooks and yeah, and then it can give you ideas for themes throughout the course and making sure that you're um you know on topic, I guess. Like it can compare a lot of different things. So I don't know, I use it for brainstorming as well. Like, what are the key themes throughout the readings in the course? What are some discussion boards posts that could be prompted based on the readings or things like that?
Brianna, one of the things that hit me when you started talking and sharing that was this would be great for little summaries to be able to give students as to help them choose which article they might want to read. If you were going to give them, here are 5 articles, you could do that and then list those little summaries in there so that they could get a good idea of which ones they might want to go after and attack.
I love that idea. Yeah.
So there was another one for Copilot here. I got to scroll back up.
Got a couple from Copilot. Yeah.
And
To develop
develop
presentations
presentation,
or summarize meeting notes for minutes, content for review. Hmm, I haven't
that'd
tried
be
Copilot for that. Huh.
a real time saver. I know Karen did a lot of things on committees that we had at the college and was doing minutes and everything that way constantly. And I would think, oh my gosh, if all this could have just been done with AI, it would have saved a lot of Karen's time at that point to be able to create
Well,
all that.
and I've been experimenting with different AI note takers. So in many of my meetings, I have three open up: Read, Otter, Fireflies, and what's the third one? I don't know, three or four of them. So I've been investigating which one gives me the best if I'm looking for a summary or action points or, um, just a transcript of my meeting. And because they all have their pros and cons, let's put it that way. But yeah, I love using any of the AIs for meetings.
I see another notebook here, create a great overview of each source. Nice. And then another person, Sarita, was doing the same thing as Brianna was that way. So that was fantastic. Good to know.
And it looks like
Good.
Angela's trying Perplexity for brainstorming research topics.
Okay. So I think that, yeah, I mean, there's so many right now. I know Karen sent me a graphic uh, yesterday, just of all of the different new things that have opened up. And what's nice is to see how they've advanced over time. From, like I said, 2 years ago, we did a thing on AI tools to
Yep.
now. And I mean, there was a lot of AI tools then, and they've only gotten better for the ones that we chose. And luckily enough, we chose some good ones because they're still there. But
And
there's
more
been so many.
variety too. They're all
Yeah,
over the place.
yeah. Let me
Oh,
see
and
here.
someone's using Claude too to make websites. Boodlebox, I haven't tried that one. A checklist based off a large document. Huh.
So I'm going to go back to Emily's on Claude here, create website of resources for the class. So really being able to ask Claude to find those resources. I know that the resource finding has been a lot better than it was a couple of years ago because I know that when I was using ChatGPT a couple of years ago, it seemed as though well, that was about 3 years ago, about half the stuff you got wasn't very good. So I think it's really good at this point to be able to get the resources and what it can do much better now.
You know,
Well,
this
and
is,
if you,
I want to chime in. I actually had the resources. So I think it is good for that, but the way that I actually used it, this is Emily who made that
Yes.
resource. The way that I actually used it was I fed it just a bunch of random like PDF documents and links, and it was all a mess. I knew what I wanted my students to be able to access, but I was like, how do I make this easy for them to access? And I just dumped it into Claude and I told it it was for UPenn, and it created this presentation that with UPenn's colors that was so easy to understand
Wow.
what the course was and just organized all of the materials, in the right order for the class too. It just made it really easy for the students. But I
So
do
I
think it's better for collecting resources now too.
right, Emily. I think I wanted to get a question. Did you feed it the UPenn colors and logos or anything like that?
No, I did not. It just pulled that from the internet.
But
It asked me,
it
it kind of
knows you
asked me
did.
what style I wanted and then said,
Okay.
do you want to do it looking like you pen? And I said, sure. And I liked what it came up with.
So at least Claude knew that you worked for UPenn, right? You
Yeah,
gave
and I
it
had
that.
given it that context that this was for a class at UPenn. I tried to give it as
Okay.
much context as I could because I find that really helps any LLM. If you just try, and I even tell it, ask me five more questions one at a time so that you can get more context about what I'm looking for. And then it really
Exactly.
helps so it can learn a lot.
And that's what I think we're going to do that in our next session. But that's what I think that these assistants have done a much better job at right now is the way that they can offer. Here's what I came up with. Would you like it in any of these other sort of formats? Would you like it this way? I could do this. I like those suggestions because it just really helps you in your own brainstorming thing. Hey, I never thought about it that way before. And so I think it's great that it does that. Plus, it makes it easy for you to plug and play. You just take that resource, you put it right in there, and it looks like you spent a lot of time working on it. So it's a great time saver for you.
Well,
Um,
I teach a class and we have a research project at the end, and students always have a hard time. They just don't know where to go. So first I explain AI and how to use it appropriately in the class. And and then I tell them, it's a great tool, especially the deep research part. It'll brainstorm, it'll give you valid resources to go check. It's really great. From having taught straight research classes in the past, boy, this is the way to do it now. And I really like Gemini for the deep research stuff that I have to do.
I was just reading Robin's comment in here, and Robin, feel free to chime in here if you'd like. But I think it's really great when you look at that. I go back to those tools that we had 4 or 5 years ago, and during the pandemic when we were teaching everybody how to teach online and everything that way. And there was so little in the tool department for coming up with the Jeopardy, Battleship, any other sort of making learning fun and engaging them in that. But it's really nice to see that right now. Again, I didn't know Gemini could do those things, so that's great that you've explored that. So, anything you want to say about that, Robin?
Yeah, so sorry, turn on my camera. So it's interesting because I've been in e-learning for 20, 27, 28 years now. And at some point in time, back 15, 20 years ago, I built a Jeopardy in PowerPoint.
Yeah,
And it just so happened to this last year went into a course that was online, and an instructor was still using that same Jeopardy style PowerPoint presentation
yeah,
in their class. And I kind of reflected back saying, well, it's pretty clunky. It was very difficult to build
yeah,
and use. And I thought, I'm pretty sure AI can help me build a better version of that. And so um, the first thing I worked on was building a Jeopardy and giving it all the rules, the instructions on how the game should be played. And I told it just build a single HTML file for
yeah,
this game. And it did it. It was amazing how well it created it. And since that point, it was like, well, okay, now how do the instructors get the questions into the game?
yep,
And so the other option was to generate a tool that the instructors would have an interface to put in the questions. And then from that point, it would generate a HTML file of the game with those questions integrated into it. And boy, once I got Jeopardy done, I ended up doing a classroom version. So you can choose teams and it
okay,
had input, keyboard things and stuff like that. But, then I developed Battleship and then The Wall. And I think I've got like 6 different variations. And I think
great,
the last thing I just created was a flashcard builder, but it
okay,
was a quizzing tool also. So the students were able to go through and do flashcards, but then they have a
nice.
quiz me function, which turns it into a quiz and they can quiz themselves and it tracks their high scores and stuff too. So all of that's just built with Gemini.
So now
Amazing
I
what
was
you can do.
thinking, since I don't have your Jeopardy game to play, I was wondering if there's an app for Jeopardy that allows you to bring that in and plug and play into your online platform, whatever you're using for online. But I love the fact that you've got an alternative so that you could really individualize it as well for your course and make it so it's not just a generic kind of app that's out there. I don't want to just play Jeopardy to play Jeopardy. I mean, I want to make it so it's educational. So that's
Right.
fantastic. Good
So
job.
Sheila's wondering, Robin, if the game could be loaded into an LMS like Canvas.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it. It's
That's what
just
I
a
thought.
single HTML file.
Yep.
So there is no external graphics and things of that sort. And
Mhm.
again, like the Jeopardy would be based off of terms and definitions. And you can even go through and create the categories. The tool literally helps the instructor build the Jeopardy how they want it by categories. But the more questions you add into it, the more replay and the more study the students can have
Sure.
from it. And the key point was creating a key function that allows the student to track their high score so that every time they go in and play it, they try to compete and get a better or a higher score,
Oh,
from that
nice.
point. So, and I built things like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and you name it, it's probably in there. But
And that was
once you
Claude,
build
right?
one and you get the functions down, it's just the trick is a single nice HTML file that can
Yes.
be given to students so you can email it to the students because they're really small. They're not even 1 megabyte in size.
Wow.
So they can use it, or you can put it in any courses. You can bring it in the classroom, open it up right on the teacher station, and project it
Yep.
up there and
Yep.
play it in the classroom for review. So it's
So,
pretty great.
so are you going to create a bot that's like Ken Jennings now that goes in there and reads the questions as a little bot figure there on the side?
Actually, I did build an AI bot, personal chat bot that
Okay.
would take any document. You can put a whole chapter from a book into this bot, and then it will generate the terms and definitions for the games. So yeah, I built a side bot, and I initially tried to create a bot that would actually build the Jeopardy game. And we know that bots are random. You can ask it the same questions twice and you get a totally different output. So the
Mhm.
game format would always change and it wasn't ADA compliant. All of my games are fully accessible. I've actually built it into the HTML coding so that everything would be accessible for the game too. That was
Wow,
the
great.
beauty of using AI for the development of it too. And
I
I'm
think
not a
I think we
programmer.
we
I'm
need
not
to
a
do a
programmer,
session
but
next year, Robin, on that.
Yeah.
definitely that would be great.
You know, you
Yeah,
should you
Robin,
should
several people have asked if you could share a link so they could look at something like that. So I think it's catching a lot of people's interest.
I'll
I
have to
don't
see
know
if
if
I
there's,
can do that. Right now, it's
yep,
just inside the LMS and stuff, but
yep.
Yep.
there's certainly easy ways for me to go through and actually put those game builders
Yeah.
out there so that anybody can go through and use those.
And
No, that's
you're
great.
creating with Gemini, you said?
Yeah, I just used Gemini as the coding tool. I asked
Right.
it, build
Mhm.
a web page that can do this. And I gave it, I think part of the exploration was giving it strict rules. Here are the rules of how to play this game. This is how I
Right.
want it to play. And I gave it very descriptive parts of it. And you work back and forth with it. It's like, okay, now go ahead and change this, add a button that does this, add some noises, some input, track the score, make it so that it's basically the browser cookies that track the student's score. So when they go in and play the game, it will bring up that from their cookies and display their high score for those individual games and stuff, which is pretty cool.
So when you're
Well,
doing that, can you do that in Gemini? Are you using voice or you're typing in all the instructions?
No, I just type in. It's
Okay.
pretty easy.
Okay. Nice. Okay, I'm
and
gonna
others are saying they love that idea because whenever they have any kind of games, they have to be external, not inside of the LMS, and they'd love to have just a link inside of an LMS where you keep the student there. So that's a great idea.
Yeah.
absolutely.
So, and I found that, different language models, AI bots function very well at doing some things. But Gemini was at 3.0 Pro is like the latest version of that one that's out there. Don't
Hmm.
use the fast. The fast version exaggerates and it
Yep.
Okay.
fantasizes.
All
But
right.
the Gemini Pro is the one that does deep analytics and it's
Hmm.
really good at actually programming HTML. So I
Okay,
found that
nice.
as my go-to bot for developing web pages.
Right. Well, good.
Someone
Thank you
else
for
is
sharing that.
asking if actually displays in your LMS or if it just links out to the web page.
No, I actually, because I'm the D12 administrator at our college, and so I actually created what I call the Game Hub, and it's got all the descriptions for the games. It tells it if it's a multiple choice style questions or true false, or sorry, term and definition style game. So I have two of the multiple choice and four for for the term and definitions. And
Okay.
there's a link there they click on, and it just opens the page right in the LMS. so that they can go in and put in their questions. They can import a Word document with the questions in it, and I give them the format and the instructions, but it's pretty basic of add the questions in, the page lets you edit the questions, and then you hit the give me the HTML file for the game, and it gives you a single little download file that you can use wherever you want.
So
Very
changing the
interesting.
subject just a little bit here was this, it was Stephanie put in about Boodlebox. And Boodlebox I hadn't used before, so it is interesting to see that it can help you create a checklist based off a large document. Had a lot of editing to do, but it was good for a first draft and really make sure that you have all the elements or everything you needed in there. So that's another interesting, great tool to have to get through, especially I think large documents are like that. I think of when Karen and I were writing our book with some colleagues, Boodlebox probably would have been very helpful in organizing the chapters and the things that we have within a chapter that way. So that's fantastic. Okay.
Well, that's just it. You have to use, I believe you have to use multiple tools because I haven't found one tool that does everything I want. So I have a whole, list, a whole sandbox full of different tools depending on what I need to do. I haven't
Right.
spent a lot of time in Claude yet. My friends that like the programming end of it and the coding side, they love Claude for that. I just haven't jumped into Claude very much.
And I think it's interesting how these are all starting to get different personalities. The Claude, the Gemini, the ChatGPT, whatever it is, that they're better for certain uses. And if I'm correct, and Robin can probably fix me on this one, but when it came to Gemini, it's almost like Gemini this version, Gemini that version, Gemini another version, and it really depending on the task you want it to do, you kind of buy the Gemini that works better for that. And I'm beginning to think that might be the direction all of these will start to go, rather than just being a general one size fits all. It's really going to be what shoe size, what style you want to pick, and that's what you're going to do for your AI tools that way to be able to help you really get into it. Because people want to go deeper on all this. I'm just going through some of the other comments that we have here. Let's see here. A lot of great things about asking Robin about those. Um, let's see here. A lot of comments about that. Okay, okay. And then here's another Boodlebox. Oh, I lost it. Doggone it. The scrolling thing isn't always the best. Uses several of the major AIs. And so it's safe, doesn't share your information with anything else. That's always nice to know too. You can do almost anything because of so many different AIs and bots. And I think that's the one thing that we start to take a look at when we are looking at how this is interesting to look at how safe things are and how safe we feel things are. In our next session, I'm just going to talk about that a little bit. Karen just put up a post about that because it's really talking about using your digital assistants let's say, I'm just going to talk about ChatGPT at that point, but Claude, Gemini, everybody else that's got an assistant to work with you on that. Just some of the different ideas about working with them, and then how safe is your information at that point? Like if it's keeping data on you, what's it sharing it with? And I think that becomes a really important security type feature that we're going to want to take a look at. Is there anybody else that wants to chime in? I've kind of gone through the chat stuff, but if you have something you want to share live, that would be great. We've got a couple more minutes here.
That Boodlebox that Stephanie's talking about sounds really interesting. It uses different AIs and bots, and then it'll direct you to somewhere else like Perplexity that does better with images, and it'll write code with you. And she says it always ends up with advice on how to make your prompts better. That's excellent. Love that idea.
Anything else that people are using that you're finding very helpful as either a time saver or like, my God, I can't believe I used to have to do this on my own. And it took me hours to do that, or it took me, years to do some of these things. Anything
Well,
else that you have?
if you like me, I like to have my students choose what project or what case study they want to do. But in the past, it's been so time consuming to create one that they all had to do one. But now with AI helping me, I can duplicate something similar in a different project or case study and have 3 different areas, have them all equally weighted the same, and let the student decide their learning curve, which of the case project sounds more interesting to them. Students really are thrilled because they feel like they have some say in their study. And like I said, it's been such a savings of time. It takes minutes instead of hours of creating multiples of tests, test A, B, and C, or of case studies or of projects. So I love those ideas.
Back in the olden days, when I was teaching before a lot of internet and a lot of online, I used to have department heads create scenarios for case
Yep.
studies that way. And so, working in a technical college at that point, where you could really individualize the case studies to meet real experiences that students were going to probably face when they got out there, really made it nice so that when a student came into a gen ed classroom, they would have a choice. They would have under their department several areas, several case studies that they could choose from, 5 to 10 case studies that they could look at and answer questions about and really interact with. And so that's nice. And like you said, and like Karen was just saying, now the AI people can do that. You still have to, of course, proofread them and make sure it all makes sense. I just would do that naturally if I'm putting it in my course. But I think that that's a real need. Is there anybody else who's having the AI assist you either in case studies or creating some sort of learning activities that way?
Well, I guess Sherry's been using ChatGPT for developing CSS and HTML web pages. She's trained
Oh,
ChatGPT to use the branding colors, the fonts, and the styles of the state system. Excellent. Saves a lot of time.
It does. It saves a lot of time. And for those people who are developers that have to, quickly pump out the content and you're using it in a restricted, environment like we are in higher education, where there are certain things like Bootstrap, you can't use that. You can't use anything except, pretty basic CSS and HTML in our system. And so it just creates these really interactive, well, I guess interactive. It makes it feel interactive because it can chunk your content so nicely with these little call out boxes. You put up your whole branding document. It'll look at it. It'll only use the colors that you are. And then as you talk about the accessibility, Diana, what I do is I go in and tell it that it has to be accessible, tell it exactly what standards I'm using, and it actually just goes in and does that for me. So it's great.
Nice. Nice.
Excellent. Well, and you can get some consistency that way too, because then other things you do, using the same type of prompts, the same guidelines, you can have things always look the same. And I think that's one of the hardest things is that consistency that we all would like to have.
Well, we at the system in Minnesota State have had to remove all of our PDFs. So we are ensuring that we're extremely accessible. So I've had to take many, many PDFs and convert them into HTML and CSS. And in the short 3-week time frame that I had to do this project, I would never have been able to do that except for ChatGPT.
So you just fed the PDF in there and asked it to create the.
No, I had to strip the content out piece by piece
Okay.
because I have a restriction of 3 content areas and 2 accordion sections that are created, and they all act as individual content. So what I found is you can't feed the whole thing to it. You have to do it piece by piece and then have that go in to it, section by section. So I can take the content in and then I can talk about what I need it to do. And it was great because it would do the nice call out boxes. So from a learning perspective, it chunked the content and then it would bring out those little sections that you really wanted your users to be able to read versus what we had was just a complete straight HTML with no style whatsoever. And so now, it's been super helpful for me.
So
Plus,
is
I
this
would
web
think
page is used outside of the LMS or within an LMS?
This is within the Cascade CMS that
Okay.
our Minnesota State system uses.
Yeah. Okay.
So at our system office level, we use Cascade, and in that, it's been working really well.
I would
And
think
I'm
it'd
sure
also
that
be,
you're like Teresa and Diane, you're talking about ARIA.
Yeah.
I can't code in any of that. I can literally only use CSS and HTML. I can't have any additional because our CMS is very restrictive. And then we're also restricted with our marketing and our branding on colors and the use of various items within our CMS.
I
Well,
would
if there's
also
any
thank you.
last minute questions, we're down to our last 4 or 5 minutes here. 4 minutes.
I was just going to add with Sherry that perhaps it would be very helpful to have, they could even create summaries of the web page of what's on there too, much like you get. Make sure you're on the right web page, but you could have a little summary at the top is what it's going to talk about, just to help people maneuver better within that, to make sure they're on the right spot.
That's funny that you even said that, Zala. I know that the three of us know each other for so long. I think we brainwave each other.
Yeah.
Yes, that has been the fabulous component of having the AI is being able to go through our entire website because we have the largest section. We're in the Perkins funding area. We have the largest section. We had 560 PDFs to remove from our area and to either convert the ones that needed to be done, anything like that. What I found is a lot of sections didn't have those overviews. So this was an easy way for me to just show what the content was to ChatGPT, and then to be able to have it go in and create a little outline. And what I find with higher ed individuals is it's much easier for them to go back and edit and say, oh, well, and they would literally say, I don't remember it being there. And I'm like, that's because I put it there because there wasn't anything. Oh, well, then we can just go and rephrase it. And that has been so helpful for them to have something to work with first.
Well, thank you, everyone. We tried something different this time just because I know they asked for more discussion. And I think this was really fantastic because obviously we could have talked about 2 or 3 things the whole time and whatever it was. But we kind of thought, you know what, let's do one and then let's let everybody else do the talking. And you filled the session beautifully. So thank you for all of that. We got some great information. And so Karen just posted again in the chat about our next session that comes up in 10 minutes. So we wish you the best. Go get a cup of coffee or a beverage and get a bathroom break in, and we'll see you at whatever session you're going to be at next. Thank you very much.
Have a great day, everyone.
Zala and Karen, thank you very much, guys. That was awesome. Thanks to everyone for coming to our sessions. And I did post a survey if you have time to fill out a little survey. We appreciate that. But otherwise, enjoy the rest of the sessions going on today.
Thank you.
You're welcome.